added on homeopathic intervention, which is a book we are planning to bring out. Due to COVID-19 lockdown, we couldn't bring out this book at present. So we are planning it, bring it out as soon as possible. And when a few words about this book, I want to share with you. When we IHRC wanted to initiate some research projects, thought of management of autism spectrum disorders with homeopathic intervention add-on, and uh, this is which is a challenge in itself. So this is a comprehensive book about what and all we can expect while treating autism spectrum, and for beginning beginners beginners who may have difficulty in handling such cases, it can serve as a guide. For those who are already having treating such cases, it can be some help at some point of time when they are stuck up. So this has been structured in this way. And I want to talk about my team of doctors. This is my team. We all came together with different backgrounds, just from word of mouth, and each one took one topic of our own interest. We researched about it, and we came with articles about that. So each one in my team is equally passionate towards his interest and what has he has penned about, he or she has penned about. So really happy and very proud of my team. So not just topics which are of theoretical importance, I thought practicality is also important. So we came with experts who are treating such cases, and they have provided some insight about how to treat, how to handle difficult situations. So other points which are helpful for this mm, handling of autism spectrum, that also has been involved. By far, we know at this point of time, whatever knowledge we have got, we have included all those points. Hope this will be helpful for everyone if they could read this book and give me a. This is the unique book because we haven't compared from Material Americas or other sources and clubbing together all the numbers. It is not in that way. It is more of practical nature and ground zero, I can say, how to handle in real situations. And when we are encountering some specific difficulties, we can go for other modes like yoga therapy or other psychological interventions. That is the idea behind this, and this is our patrons. Dr. At that time, Dr. Rajit Kumar was national president, and Arvind sir has been secretary general, and they have been very, very generous and very supportive. And these are our editors, experts who have helped me in shaping this book. And now we have on board our expert, Dr. Anupurani ma'am. She is an BHMS, PGD, LD. She is an expert in learning disabilities. She has been a resource person for many workshops as well as uh, group therapies, group training. She is support for support like parents as well as for homeopaths and other professionals as well. She has been a resource person for IEDF Government of Kerala, ICDS, as well as Indian Systems of Medicine, Department of Indian Systems of Medicine. And she has many things to her credit, and she has been a main uh, author of many articles in Homeopathic Medical Panorama as well. Now she will be sharing her uh, uh, experience based knowledge in this webinar, first of in this series. And she has been through from the day one of this project, and she has been a very great support for all of us, and being a she's a very down to earth and very beloved person. So I welcome Dr. Anuparani ma'am. Ma'am,
Thank you,
yes
Rekha.
ma'am,
Can you hear me?
you can, yes ma'am,
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you ma'am.
Thank you. Can I start now?
Yes ma'am, you can start.
Yeah, I
Start the
have
session.
been, this learning disability is a topic very close to my heart because my daughter, she's severely disabled in the area of learning. And when I came to know of learning disability, that was in, I think, 90s. That time, nobody knew what learning disability was, early 90s. And she started going to school, and she couldn't write in LKG. All the children in the her class were writing, she couldn't write. And I didn't understand why she can't write. Then I thought I put her early into nursery, that is 3.5 years, and I thought I'll wait for 1 year. Then I waited for 1 year. Then she was 4.5 years. Even then she had difficulty in writing. Somehow she came to UKG. When she reached UKG, I understood that she can't write. That's why she's not writing. Till then I thought it is because I can't teach. Why she was 4.5 years old, I understood is because she can't write that. Why she can't write an A? I think the most difficult letter she wrote was X, because X has two directions, and at that time I didn't understand why she was finding that much difficulty in X, because it's two directions. One direction you have to write, then you have to take your hand, then go to the other direction, and she has severe problem with the directions. Even now she has not overcome that. That time nobody was there to help me. Nobody knew what it is. And one day I saw it in TV, in Asianet, that there was in Sri Chitra, they were giving some help for these children with dyslexia. Then I went there, I stayed there for 1 month. We took the training. I understood what her problem is. Then it was like running behind the solution everywhere. So many places I went. I started slowly learning what is learning disability, from experience, from seminars, from workshops. I've been attending a lot till 2001. And then I started intensive training after 2001. It was then the first child came to me, another child. Because I didn't give any advertisement, I didn't tell anybody that I knew how to deal with learning disability. But somehow, from somewhere, my first child came, and I didn't know what to do. It was an utter flop. Then I had to take the child to my teacher, then again study, learn slowly. I started becoming an expert. It was over the years. I started in, I think, 96, 97. And by 2002, I started seeing children. And now at 2020, it's like, it's very easy for me to, even now today, even in the lockdown day, there was a case for the came ADHD child, and the parent don't know what to do, and they told me he's talking about suicide. Now he's in 6th standard. The child doesn't know why he can't learn. Parents don't know. Parents are unaware of his problem. I knew, but today I couldn't help them in otherwise. That I gave just medicines and sent this child back and asked him to come back after the lockdown is over. I think it will take nearly 2 hours to assess a child with a learning disability, because we do an assessment, or other than homeopathic assessment, we do a learning assessment that will take more than 1.5 hours to find out in which area the problem is. So we have two words here: learning and a disability. And nowadays it's not told as specific learning disability; they call it learning disorders. ICD-10 and it is said only as a learning disorder. It's no more included in disability. But government of India has included this learning disability in PWD Act, so they get all the help from the government nowadays from last year onwards. Till then, it was not recognized as a disability. but it is called a specific learning disorder. And so that we have two words here, a learning and a disorder. So we can see what is learning. If you can see my, 1 minute, just I'll on the other camera. Possible? So it's not going to the backside camera. See, can you see the slide now? Can you see the slide? Can you see the slide? Can you see? Just show your thumb if you can see the slide. Yeah, okay. See, is it clear that learning is defined as any relatively permanent change in behavior as a result of practice or experience? It's a change in behavior. So where we have to work, it's a change in behavior. So we have to assess the behavior of the child first. If you want to do anything with learning, it is the behavior we have to look into. And this child who came today, his behavior is that he wanted to suicide. Told I'll hang, I'll jump into the well, and the parents are frightened what to do. So this behavior the child is showing, and immediately we shouldn't think of all the psychological problems. Let's just see the learning. Then when I asked the parent how the child learns, mother told me he has difficulty studying, very difficult studies. They have not yet. The child is in 7th standard, and they not at all thought of the child has a problem in learning. So when the child has a problem in learning, in our system or in our way of education, especially in Kerala, I don't know about other states. Here, schooling marks, A pluses are very important for everybody. All the teachers, schools, parents, everybody want their children to go through an A plus. So when child is going back in studies, they find methods to overcome this situation by showing other behaviors. Anyway, this learning is always defined as a change in behavior. So we have to work with the behavior. And the disorder. Disorder is a condition where there is disturbance of normal. See, there's disturbance of normal. And here the child's behavior is abnormal, his studies are abnormal or not along with conforming with the way the society accepts. That is the learning disorder. And the diagnosis is done by when we see it from medical point of view, either by ICD-10 or DSM-5. In DSM-5 it is called learning disorders. In ICD-10 it is called specific developmental disorders of scholastic skills. You want to see the slide? Can you see the slide? Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. So this is how we medically diagnose it. And if you are going for any research work, also you have to diagnose this this learning disability by these two parameters, or even you can use another one doctor. Forgotten. I'll tell you about her. Another one of the tests is there. Maharashtra University has developed, and it's a long process. It take more than 1.5 to 2 hours diagnose, and we have to see what all areas we have to look into when there is a learning problem in a child. So there are many areas related, and this is a higher function of the brain, and these components are all of higher functions, brain's higher functions. It's the frontal and prefrontal cortex of the brain that's mostly involved. And we have to, when we think of medicine also, it has to be at molecular level. Okay. Medicine also should be thought of a neuronal level medicine. So we can see what all areas are involved in learning, which all areas are involved for a child to learn properly. Okay, you want to see the slide? See the learning process. Components of learning process. There is sense organs are needed, memory is needed, intelligence is needed, attention, language, emotions, thoughts and feelings. All these are important for learning to occur properly. For any problem in any one of these areas can cause a learning problem. Okay. And this 5 sense organs, and also the organ proprioception. If there is a problem in proprioception also, it can lead to learning problems. I'll tell you how it happens. How we process an information from the brain. How we process. Now itself you are hearing me, you can see me, and how many areas of your brain are working now? See, your vision is working, your hearing is working. And these two areas it has to reach the brain in various areas, the occipital lobe, the temporal lobe, and it has to get organized for you to understand what I am seeing and what you are seeing. Okay, all these areas have to be interpreted by the all these areas have to be interpreted by the brain. Okay, sensory process in the ability to interpret information the brain has received. Okay, you have to understand how the brain, somebody's Veena is not to be seen. What happened? Okay, oh, maybe she'll come back. Okay, this process, sensory process is that to be processed by the brain for us to understand. See, what we are seeing is reach our occipital lobe, what hearing reach in the temporal lobe, and these two has to be interpreted by the brain and organized in the brain, and then that happens in the angular gyrus of the brain, which is near the temporal lobe and the occipital lobe and the motor cortex. All these together, it has to all this information has to be processed for us to understand what we are seeing, what we are hearing. Okay, so many areas of the brain are working together, and they're integrated, and there is an interpretation by the brain, and we understand. So what happens in these children? These interpretations does not happen properly. See, various areas of brain where the informations are reaching. See, many areas of the brain, and it has to be organized and interpreted. Only then we understand what is happening around. What for a learning to happen, we have to understand what we see, what we hear, and what we read. All these three, four things together should happen at a time in the brain. See, there should be integration, organization, and interpretation. Integration of the sensory inputs, it has to be organized, and then only the brain will interpret. So these many areas are used by the brain for a learning process to happen. So in the internal environment of the brain should be working properly. Only then all the neurons or connectivity, see how the connectivity goes in our webinar also. Frequently some are going out, some are not to be seen. So this connectivity in the brain, all these areas, all these hearing, smelling, see what your mouth, tongue, skin, everything, eye, everything has to be integrated to understand what is happening in the brain. So there are lots of processes which help other visual processes, there are auditory processes, and see, visual process, if there is a proper visual processing, only then we know that visual cognitive skills work. That is understanding, that is difference between size, perception, distance, able to discriminate between small, big shapes. Why when we don't understand the difference between shapes, we don't understand the difference between alphabets. So the child will read B as B, and P as P and Q, it will get confused. B and D will get confused. That is visual processing difficulty. See, the optic nerve, it has to travel a lot and reach a primary visual cortex. From there, it has to travel to all the other areas of the visual cortex to get interpreted what it is seen. See, shape is in one area, size is in one area. There's V1, V2, V3. There are so many areas in the visual cortex, or each area is connected with this either shape, size, depth, thickness, all those right, left, all those are in the visual cortex of the brain, various areas, and they get integrated when we see something. Okay, this is a visual process is a longest pathway in the brain. There's visual discrimination, visual spatial relationship, that is the ability to discriminate dominant features of an object and to perceive, an ability to perceive position of objects related to another object. So when you understand a C and an E, how it is related, how you discriminate between a C and an E, small letters. So if these processes does not work properly, the child have difficulty in understanding all difference between alphabets. Only if the alphabets are perceived properly, the children will be able to write, read. Okay. Then there is an auditory process. There are many more processes in the visual area, which helps us in reading. Then auditory processes. Auditory processes, this is what we hear. Hearing different frequencies we can hear, and it has to be interpreted by the brain to understand what we are hearing. When some other people is talking in the background, and also we have to hear what we need to hear. And there are so many noises in the background, and we have to hear exactly. We have to listen to this seminar or talk to the parents or children at home, and they are talking among themselves. How we can concentrate on what we are hearing in this webinar. That is the function of the auditory process. Okay, auditory attention is also related with that. Any problem in auditory processing, child will have difficulty in understanding what is heard, understanding what is read. Okay, and even the difference between the sounds, like big, big. There's only a small difference that the first alphabet, and if the child has to know the difference, what he's hearing, if he heard the pig or a big, then the child has to have this auditory processing working properly. Only then he will know the difference. If the child is showing spelling mistakes, frequent spelling mistakes, just check whether there is any difficulty in his auditory processing. Okay. There are also a lot of processes in auditory areas. Then this tactile processing, because when the touch, how the child holds the pencil, how the touch helps him to understand. See, movement and the touch are also related with learning. When the child, that is proprioception. When the child cannot remember movements, because movement and memory are related very much. Because when we used to learn our Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we used to everybody in the class used to stand up, and we used to show actions with our hands. Okay, that's why we remember all those very. Like, we never forget it, because what we learn with movement, that's proprioception. What we learn with movement, we can put into memory very soon or very fast. And recollection is also fast, because when in olden days, when they used to learn Veda, that's only in the there was no written form, only the theory form was there. They used to move their head and like this and learn. Have you seen it in TV or in films, like how children learn these Vedas by chanting? That's, they move their body, they move their head in particular direction, and that's how this auditory learning happens. So that movement and learning also are related. Children having movement difficulty, that is no, like what should I say? What is the word? Dyspraxia. Dyspraxia. Who have dyspraxia also have difficulty in learning, because movement is also related. When you write with your hand, and A is written like this, your hand has to move. Right? If the child can't remember the movement, it's writing once you write it 100 times, also the child won't be able to remember. So movement is also important. Proprioception is important. Visual processing, auditory processing, tactile processing, and proprioception. All these areas are important before a child learns. All these areas of the brain should work properly. Another area the brain has to work is memory. There is short-term memory, there is long-term memory, there is immediate memory. Immediate memory is that what you hear now, you understand. That is immediate memory. It will go to your memory. Then after some time, it will go to your short-term memory. Unless you recollect again and again, it won't go into a long-term memory. Once every information is stored in long-term memory, never goes away from that long-term memory. That's why we are able to remember all the alphabets we learned in school, all the rhymes, all the stories. We don't forget it. Even at now, I think 52 years old, 53 years old. Even now I can remember what I learned in my LKG and UKG, because this long-term memory is a place where all the memories are stored. Like artificial memory, anything we have experienced, anything we have recollected again and again, it goes to a long-term memory and is stored there forever. We don't lose that unless we have problems in memory. So this memory is also important. The short-term memory should, immediate memory, short-term memory, and the long-term memory should function properly for a child to remember what he has learned. When there is a problem in attention, when the child does not listen or does not hear what is being told in class, when nothing is stored as an immediate memory, it does not go into short-term memory, and if it is not recollected, never goes into a long-term memory, it's lost forever. So all these process has to work properly for a child to remember. There's a chart here. If you want, I don't know whether how much you will be able to see it. In a slide, there is a chart. 1 minute. See, I don't know whether you are able to see the chart.
Keep it little away, madam.
Huh?
Keep it little away from screen. Yeah,
okay?
fine.
Okay. That's how memory helps us in learning. Then there's then an important factor that has to be looked into is an intelligence. The child has to be intelligent, and average intelligence it is for a regular curriculum in schools it's 90 to 120. Any children 90 to 110 actually. Below 90 or above 110 will have difficulty in the regular curriculum of the schools. Okay. What happens is when the many of the children with learning problems have an IQ around 80 or 85. These children will go into, that's not learning disorder actually, it will be called slow learner. And the child who is again below 80, they call it a this 1 minute, I'll show you the slide. This is a definition. 1 minute, that's what I wanted to tell you. The definition of IQ, it will again be related to your 1 minute. See, can you see the definition of intelligence by Wechsler? So many have defined it. Wechsler has defined as a to deal effectively. See the last sentence. To deal effectively with his environment. Okay, it is the aggregate global capacity of an individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with this environment. To deal effectively with this environment is very important because it's again related with behavior. So when your intelligence is low also, it will be shown in your behavior. So when the children show many behavior problems that they can't understand what they should do in a situation, in an area, or when they are in class, how to behave in class, when they go for a go outside with the parents to a park, to a seaside, they don't know how to behave. And there is many problems, so severe problems in behavior. You have to check for the IQ, if there is a problem with the IQ. Okay. IQ is usually done by a psychologist, not doctors. And but we should know what IQ is and all. How to calculate this mental age divided by the chronological and multiplied by 100, you get a percentage. And its average is 90 to 110. Even above average, children with 120 or 130 IQ have difficulty in going through the normal regular curriculum in schools because they can cater in more and they will show behavior problems. And I had many children like that. And in one school, what they did, they made the child sit in the child was studying in 3rd standard, and they made the child sit in 6th standard. His capability was only in language. He had high language function, but his maths function was not that much as the teachers wanted in 6th standard. So he started slowly showing problems and behavior problems, and he couldn't cope up with the maths of the 6th standard. Then and he started very severe behavior problems. Then the child was brought in. Then I advised the parents not to put him in 6th standard, let him be in his regular class and give him more work in language. And I talked to the teachers also to give more work in language and let him read more and let him answer more questions or something like that. And with the mathematics, he has to go with the same. regular school, regular class. Okay, otherwise he had so many behavior problems, always crying, always beating the mother, eating his sister. Okay, and he didn't want to go to school also. At last, that's what happened. I don't want to go to school. He reached a stage where he is school refusing. And then and the component is language. The language component has also has to be very intact for the child to learn. Many of the problems of learning will have problems in language also. The understanding the morphemes or the basic units of meaning, or the phonemes or the basic unit of speech, or and there are rules connecting these phonemes and morphemes, etc. And these children with learning disorders, mostly they don't know how these phonemes are connected. Some don't know how to join letters and form word, and some don't know how to join words and form sentences. Okay, and if the child is stuck with the alphabets, we have to teach, and they can't read even the alphabet. Then that the problem is that these alphabets are figures, and the sounds we give are in the auditory. So he has his auditory system and his visual system both has to function together for him to understand what this alphabet or this drawing or this picture it becomes meaningful only when a sound is attached to it. So he has a problem in that area, and we have to correct in that area. Once the children has a problem, once he overcomes that problem, slowly starts to write words. Then again, maybe he has no problem in phoneme area, only has problem in morpheme areas. Then what happens is child